Good morning, it's March 14th, and this is To My Liberal Friends. How many of you remember Ronald Reagan's 13th commandment? It was simply this, quote, "Thou shalt not speak ill of any fellow Republican," end quote. Reagan adopted this strategy because he was a Republican, and he believed in building unity within the party. He made this statement during primaries, and instead of constantly attacking his competitors, he tried to run on his message and his ability to lead the nation. Now that was almost a generation ago, and today the Republican Party is at a crossroads of what we want to become as a party. Donald Trump has announced that he is once again running for the Republican nomination, and he has turned Reagan's belief on its head. Instead, he would say, quote, "Thou shalt always speak ill of any Republican that challenges me," end quote. At the first Republican presidential debate in 2015, Bret Baier of Fox News opened by asking for a show of hands from candidates who wouldn't promise to support the GOP nominee. Only Donald Trump raised his hand. Mr. Baier pressed him, asking if he understood that an independent run would almost certainly deliver the race to the Democrat. Quote, "I will not make the pledge at this time," end quote, from Donald Trump. Now we're at the beginning stages of the 2024 campaign for the Republican nomination. Once again, we have Donald Trump lashing out at anyone who dares to challenge him. He sees Florida Governor Ron DeSantis as his main challenger, and he has openly called him Ron DeSanctimonious. Now this backfired a bit on him, even among some of his supporters. Governor DeSantis has yet to announce his intentions, although many believe he will run for the nomination, and Donald Trump has gone on the attack trying to portray the governor in a negative manner. That leads us to the question that every Republican should be asking. Will Donald Trump support Ron DeSantis or any other challenger who happens to win the nomination? I don't think he will, and as a Republican, that disqualifies him in my mind from ever getting my support. Trump would rather Democrats win than any other Republican than him be on the ballot. It confirms what I believed for the past several years, that Donald Trump is not a true Republican, but rather only interested in his own glory and self-promoting persona. Donald Trump is openly raised the possibility that if he fails to gain the nomination, he would mount an independent campaign and attempt to rally his supporters to vote for him. Of course, that would doom any other Republican candidate, because without the Trump supporters, they would be unable to win. The National Party leadership is well aware of what Trump might try to pull off should he fail to win the nomination. On CNN, Ronna McDaniel, the chairwoman of the Republican National Committee, said it's, quote, "a no-brainer," end quote, that the party will require candidates to sign a pledge to support the ultimate nominee as a condition of appearing in the GOP debates. Ms. McDaniel's problem is that there's no way to enforce such a pledge. And if Mr. Trump feels the party isn't treating him fairly, he will simply pull out and revoke his pledge at any time. He doesn't have any honor on what he pledges to do. I believe that in 2024, Joe Biden is very vulnerable should he decide to run for re-election. His approval ratings continue to remain in the low 40% range. But the polls also show that he would be the slight favorite should a rematch between he and Donald Trump. A candidate like Ron DeSantis gives you all the policy options that Trump would bring, but none of the personal baggage that accompanies Trump. DeSantis won re-election in Florida in a landslide, and even turned a Democratic stronghold county like Miami-Dade to his advantage. I'm not endorsing Governor DeSantis at this point, but I certainly see the advantages he brings as a Republican candidate over Donald Trump. I suspect that Trump is hoping for a crowded field where he can mobilize his followers and win a plurality in primary races. He has a devoted following who believe all the nonsense he spouts about the election being stolen from him. He ignores the facts that in 2016 the data shows that people voted more against Hillary Clinton than voting for Trump. That's why he was so surprised when he won. In 2020, the same data showed that people voted against Trump more than they voted for Biden. And that's a sad commentary on our political situation. But Trump, with his huge ego, cares nothing about what people think of him. He cares only about himself and sitting in the Oval Office. But I go back to my original point. We need to support the Republican nominee, and every candidate should make that commitment. If they refuse to commit to supporting the nominee, then every Republican, including those that support Trump, should demand that he withdraw from the race. And if Trump makes any signal he would run as a third-party candidate, every Republican should disavow him and support someone that is the real Republican candidate in the race. The goal is to beat Biden in the election, not to win a primary. It's been To My Liberal Friends. Thanks for listening.